What's up, guys? So, pretty sick, pretty tired, sick and tired, sick of being tired, tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. But that's okay because it is time for some responsive videos. And the first one that we're doing out of the series is obviously his first video response to vegan propaganda number one. He who I'm talking about is that guy from Austria. So, without further ado, here we go. I fast forwarded through a little bit of it because it's just commentary. So here's the first bit.
Kind started to harvest milk because of its high nutritional value. So what's up with the dairy industry and osteoporosis stuff? Until the 1980s, the word osteoporosis even wasn't coined. And how stupid can one be to talk about the dairy industry being a reason for humans consuming milk?
Okay, obviously the lady was wrong because the dairy industry didn't cause for people to consume milk. However, the dairy industry did cause for people to want to buy milk and, did spread the ideas of drinking milk for its nutritional value. I certainly thought that milk had a lot of nutritional value until I actually did research into it not too long ago and found out that it was really bad. So that's why I don't drink milk anymore. Otherwise, I would have just went plain vegetarian. Also, as far as it goes with the people being able to metabolize milk, you really can't if you stop drinking milk because your body then loses the enzyme that lets you digest it. You become lactose intolerant. He knows this. I don't know why he's not saying it. And people harvested milk because they were otherwise going to starve. In most early times, there wasn't a very high success rate in living, and you did what you could do. And this really comes around to the time of farming, because before they farmed, they had hunter gatherers, and hunter gatherers did a lot better for themselves nutritional wise. They got about 2,500 calories per day, which is pretty much more than you need, and they were pretty healthy, bulky people. When they started farming, the nutritional values actually went down, and basically the people who remained being hunters and gatherers were either killed or forced off of their hunting land so that they could farm, essentially, which is, I guess, it's whatever. It's how mankind evolved into, growing his own food instead of getting it from land. And that's why there's a lot more of us now, because I think it was about 10 square miles per hunter-gatherer. So that's not that many people if you break it down onto like the whole world and, huntable, arable land. Alright, moving on.
History itself exists for at most the last 300 years. Out of 8,000 years, humankind consumes milk at a regular basis.
Okay, blah blah blah.
Don't forget that the longest living people on Earth.
Oh, okay. People's lifetimes. Okay, so, yes, vegetarians have a longer lifespan so far than vegans, and that's because the practice of veganism has only been around to record for 65 years. You're also forgetting that vegans are vegetarians and vegetarians are not vegans. It's like the square rectangle thing, A square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square. So, yeah, that's obviously not brought up, which is why I'm bringing it up. Vegetarians, the whole group of vegetarians that get pulled for their lifespans, that also includes vegans. So breaking it down to vegans, when you take a smaller subgroup of anything, you're always bound to get more radical results. So that's not really reliable. But once again, this is my opinion. All right, moving on.
Are the Japanese, and they are not even vegetarian.
Okay.
And feed the people living there in that way.
Okay, so this talks about agriculture and animals grazing on land that otherwise wouldn't be able to provide for the cows, blah blah blah. And that's not really true because almost any land can be made into agricultural land. I mean, take Central Valley in California, for example. That land there was basically a desert, and a lot of the farmland in Southern California is really, in the desert. So, it, once you have irrigation, you can basically turn any land into farmland, and I guarantee you that as the population increases, uh, you're gonna see land that at first wasn't being farmed turning into farmable, arable land. All right, moving on again.
Just think about it. Vegetables in the Scottish Highland.
Okay, blah blah.
Big player here as well.
Oh, here we go.
Power plants, reducing methane output of waste treatment to zero and providing electrical energy and hot water to the residents.
Okay, what he's talking about here is the United States landfills and their release of methane gas, or methane, whatever, and how in Western Europe and Western countries they basically burn all their trash, and that's not necessary. I mean, they're two sides of the equation, and they're both not necessarily good. Obviously, it's better to not have trash in the first place than to burn it. And burning this trash obviously releases a lot of harmful chemicals into the air. So, at least we know what's going into the air when we send the methane out there, and we're actually beginning to have really good sanitary landfills where you've got the gas collection pipes and everything. So that's arguable whether it's better. If you've ever been to Europe, you'll notice that the air really isn't that fantastic.
Reducing the need of fuel.
Okay.
Excuse? Don't care about production of consumer goods. Just ignore all this. And don't just...
Okay, he's now talking about the, how everybody who's vegan is ignoring the, reduce your emissions, reduce this, try and be, safe on this. And that's not necessarily true. That's kind of purple patch there, because you're taking what vegans and vegetarians are saying, and you're saying, well, if you're being vegan, then you're automatically ignoring all this other stuff. I know that there's a lot of vegans who also live green rather than just eat green, and there's plenty of vegetarians who do that too. I mean, there's probably people who aren't even vegetarians and vegans driving around in Priuses. I'm sure that's not all the hippies. So, just consider that when you post up something, that guy from Austria, you post up something that can be contested, and what you're saying really can very easily be contested, because you're leaving it full of holes, and you're making if-then statements that aren't necessarily always correct, and for the most part in this video are not correct at all.
Reduce meat and dairy in your diet, but
eggs from organic.
Oh, here we go. Be warned, a vegan diet is very unbalanced. You may risk your health if you go vegan. That's absolutely not true. If anything's unbalanced, it's a meat eater's diet, because they get a lot more protein than they need, and they get a lot more vitamin B12 than they need, just for example, from their meats. So to claim that someone's diet is unhealthy, it's been argued that vegetarian and vegan diets are one of the best diets that you can have, and I don't think it's really ever been argued that meat eating diets are the best ones that you can have. I mean, I think the Atkins diet flew for like 6 months, and then everyone realized that they were collapsing of heart attacks. So, okay, moving on. Oh, here we go.
to eat. Who would have?
He's got the little picture of,
Does any...
he's got the little picture of, like, things eating other things and saying, well, if they can eat other things, then it shouldn't be wrong for us to eat other things. Well, an animal's body that is designed to eat meat obviously has the right to eat meat, because it has the right to keep itself alive, just as we have the right to keep ourselves alive. It's not really that outlandish and far-fetched to want to reduce our cruelty in order to do so. And on top of that, the environmental and health benefits obviously outweigh any negligible amount of risks if you're, somewhat careful and conscious about what you're doing, being vegan. Alright, so let's wrap it up here. Got like 30 seconds left.
Animal kill its prey.
Oh, here we go.
Vegans. Grow up. I watched a...
Told us to grow up. That's really nice. Actually, in one of his next couple of videos, that's going to get brought up, all the little kids. And then he puts Veganic Witch up there with all the little kids, even though she's like 30. He puts them next to like 15-year-olds. Anyway, it's been fun, guys. Hope you enjoy my videos.